Good evening. I'm Dr. Mark Walcott, keeping it real about your health. Tonight we have a very special guest with us. This is Joanne Irwin, and I'd like to welcome you to my show, Keeping It Real.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We are really thrilled to have you here. Now, Joanne, I guess it was meant to be, because apparently your husband happened to be watching my previous show, or one of my previous shows with Dr. Siddhartha, and did your husband not say, hey, that's my doctor on the screen?
That's right, and he's my physician as well, and I turned it on and I watched, and Dr. Siddhartha has been basically responsible for me being here and with the Cancer Project, and I thought, well, gee, I have to give you a call. I'd like to share with you what the Cancer Project is all about, and I thought you'd be interested in hearing about it.
I'm totally interested, Joanne, and I'd like you to tell me a little bit first about your background. Now, I understand you're not originally from the Cape. You're from the New York area.
Oh, many years ago, born and raised in Queens, New York, and left New York rather in 1968, and never looked back, and lived around in various parts of the country, and came to Cape Cod in 1987, and it is home.
Yep, as it is for me too. Now, you've been involved, you called me because you were excited you wanted to present this idea to the public about what's called the Cancer Project. First off, what is it? How did you get involved? Just tell me everything that you'd like to tell me about it.
Well, the Cancer Project is a nonprofit affiliate of Dr. Neal Barnard's Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. And Dr. Barnard, who is one of the leading cancer researchers and advocates in the country, he's a professor at George Washington University Medical Center, he founded Physicians Committee in 1985. And the whole purpose of PCRM, as we call it, is to promote health and to advance the whole cause of prevention and to really foster ethics and compassion in medical practice. And an offshoot of PCRM was the Cancer Project that was started in 2001. And what we basically do is what is called Food for Life, Nutrition, and Cooking classes for cancer prevention and survival. And I'm a newbie. I became involved with the Cancer Project this past November and went down to DC for training and certification.
Great. Now, you yourself did not have cancer, but you said before the show that you, various friends, relatives have had cancer.
Yeah, many people in my life, friends, young friends, developed cancer and succumbed to cancer. And one of my dear friends, I can remember in 1980, it was 3. She was 28 years old and died of breast cancer. And when she first went to a physician with a lump in her breast, she was told by her physician, well, you're too young. Young girls like you don't get cancer. And she left. And 6 months later, she went back, and the lump was getting bigger. And before she knew it, it had metastasized, and she lived 18 months after that. Oh, my God.
Yeah, you hear those stories all the time about people who have been misdiagnosed or improperly diagnosed. And it's kind of sad, you know, even my own cousin was diagnosed about a year ago with throat cancer. Fortunately, he made it through, but he did change his lifestyle considerably. Now, this 20 years ago, or shall I say more than that, 30 years ago, my wife and I guess we were sort of like the revolutionaries in New York. We actually counseled people in nutrition, and this was a whole new concept that maybe there's somehow a connection between your lifestyle, what you eat, what you drink, and the onset of cancer, you know. And so we were counseling people, and yet back then the American Cancer Society said, oh, no, there's no connection. And now they're singing a different tune, obviously. Yeah. So what is it about this connection with nutrition, lifestyle, and cancer that...
Well, we certainly know from all of the top researchers, world researchers, scientists, medical physicians, that there is a link between cancer and nutrition. There's a link between disease and nutrition. And one of the premier studies was the China study, which was done over 20 years. And the primary author is Dr. Colin Campbell out of Cornell University. And when I became involved with plant-based eating, after reading the China study, this was my grand leap. I couldn't go back after reading the research. And Dr. Neal Barnard at the Physicians Committee, they do an awful lot of research as well. So there is a link. And
so, yeah, what it is, now Dr. Siddhartha happened to mention this too when I interviewed him about this. And I haven't not had a chance to read it yet, but it sounds very impressive that there's a foreword by Dean Ornish, who talks about everyone in the field of nutrition science stands on the shoulders of Dr. Campbell, who is one of the giants of the field. This is one of the most important books about nutrition ever written. Reading it may save your life. Now that's really fascinating with that idea. So what is the content, what was the content of the study, or the gist of it?
Well, how he basically began his work, he was at Cornell, he was a researcher, and he was raised on a dairy farm, you know, and lived on a dairy farm and ate the meat and drank the milk. And little by little in the investigations, they took a look at China. China had very different rates of cancer based on different areas of the country compared to Western countries like the United States and Europe, which has lateral rates of cancer across the board. So they wanted to know, why were these pockets of China, villages, basically disease-free? So they spent 20 years investigating the people, 6,500 people in 150 villages. And basically the people who eat plant-based foods, whole grain, plant-based foods, basically your fruits and your vegetables and your legumes, are pretty much disease-free compared to Western countries, the United States, Europe, Scandinavian countries, which have very, very high rates of cancer and heart disease and diabetes and obesity. And the epidemic is growing. And sadly, we don't hear enough about the true research that is out there and available to the public.
Interesting. You know, it's very interesting because I've been to China, and one of our tour guides mentioned that their rates of cancer and heart disease and diabetes have been going up. And there's an implication that, you know, you walk down the streets of Beijing or Shanghai and you see just about every other corner there's a fast food restaurant.
Exactly.
You see a McDonald's or a Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I'm not looking to defame these companies, because people certainly like to eat there.
Right.
But there has been a corresponding increase of cancer, but also childhood obesity is shocking too, whereas usually the older people in China who maintain their lifestyle of eating mostly fruits and vegetables are very lean and thin, and they practice Tai Chi, and they're very healthy. They live to be a very old age.
Well, a lot of the populations, when they move from their, let's say, rural environment, and they move to a Western environment and adopt the Western lifestyle of eating, that's when those rates of diseases begin to go up. So, you know, scientists and the researchers have talked about that. And, you know, you mentioned childhood obesity. We are seeing an epidemic in this country of childhood obesity. You know, we are hearing about children coming down with kidney stones at rates never before seen.
And gallstones.
Gallstones.
I mean, their gallbladder out at age 16. Yeah. It's kind of shocking.
Yeah. On cholesterol-lowering medication at 8 and 10 years old.
On Lipitor at that young age. It's hard. It's sad. You know, it's very sad. I mean, I guess the Madison Avenue executives, they know what they're doing and pushing this whole phenomenon of just stuff. But I also realize in our society now, things have speeded up so much that you have your typical soccer mom, and the kids have just come from a game and they're ravenously hungry. We've been there. I had 4 kids.
Sure.
And they got to eat something quick somewhere. So it's easy to drive through the drive-through fast food place and pick up something. You know, there's French fries as referred to in that fabulous movie, Super Size Me, the French fries that never die, you know. So, so now we're starting to see, now tell me a little bit more. I see some other books here, and like Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease by Dr. Esselstyn.
Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn is a premier physician out of the Cleveland Clinic.
Lift that book up and just kind of flash it in front of the screen there.
He is one of our family, and I call him one of our family because of his groundbreaking research. And his research was over 15 years. And basically, he took the most severe cardiac patients at the Cleveland Clinic and worked with them, and his results were phenomenal. His results showed for the first time that heart disease can be reversed. And he's on the board of Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. As a matter of fact, he and his wife were the ones who were instrumental, who got me connected with the Cancer Project. So I have him to be very thankful to, for many reasons. But our program, what we try to do in the Food for Life and Nutrition cooking classes, we have a series of classes, 4 or 7 classes, different topics, where we present the research. We show a video on a particular topic, how foods fight cancer. We talk about low-fat and high-fiber foods. We talk about dairy and meat alternatives.